All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 2022 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for the town of Carmel. The way we operate is I will ask you to come up to the podium. I'll swear you in unless you're of counsel. We'll hear the case. We'll ask the board for any questions or comments. I'll open it up to the public afterwards. And then when we close a case, it's closed. There's no further input from the public at that point. Board members' names are in front of you on the dais with Town Code Enforcement Officer Mike Carnazza and Town Council Greg Fulchetti in with us this evening. Will you all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, the first case tonight is a holdover for application of Raymond Medea, seeking interpretation that the structure is illegally pre-existing non-conforming two-family, or, in the alternative, a use variance to permit a two-family residence in a single-family zone. The property is located at 6 Mary Avenue, Mahopac, New York, and it's tax map 75.12-1-40. So the code allows of one family. What's provided is a two-family. So the variance required is interpretation that the structure is a pre-existing two-family, or in the alternative, a use family to permit a two-family use. I just had to get that out of the way. Good evening, Bill. How are you? Folks are going to be speaking? Most likely. I'll swear them in just to play it safe. Can you state your names and address for the record? I'm going to remind everyone also to speak into the microphone.
Bill, why don't you give him the hand?
Yeah, we have a handheld there.
Just help them out with it.
I don't believe Mr. Medea will be testifying, but Mrs. Medea may. So
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, just help her out with the mic. Thanks, Bill.
Raise your right hand. I'm sorry. First, state your name and address for the record.
Ellen Medea, 6 Midway, Purdy's, New York, 10578. Property address, 6 Mary Avenue, Mahopac, New York,
Okay.
10541.
And you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Good evening. You've introduced my clients, Raymond and Ellen Medea.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to
Am
remind
I
you.
close enough,
Yeah,
or-
if you can.
Yeah.
You could turn it up to your mouth. It would pick you up better.
Good. Close
You
enough?
could turn it up.
There you go.
You'll be a superstar eventually.
Joel Greenberg is here. He worked on the project as well. He may be testifying as well. The property is 6 Mary Avenue in Mahopac. The property is about a quarter acre. It's 8,500 square feet. On the property now is a two-family. It is up and down, not side by side. Both units have 2 bedrooms. Both units have 1 bathroom. It's important that I tell you from the beginning that there is no access from one unit to the other. You have to go outside to access the other unit, and I'll tell you why that's important as we move forward. The assessment card and family of Mr. Powers, by the way, Mr. Powers was the builder back in 1947, all attest to the fact that the structure was built in 1947. That's significant because your code is 1955. And it would be a pre-existing non-conforming two-family, except that it appears, though, in 1947, it was built as a single family. And then in 1960 or 61, a second level was placed on the property and a second floor was added. Our requested relief before, as you read in your outline, was simple interpretation that it was a legal pre-existing non-conforming two-family. And we based that on a lot of research that we did, which included assessment cards, all assessing the property as a two-family, tax bills, same thing. we submitted a lot of neighbors' affidavits who go back all the way to 61, saying they knew it as a two-family. We searched out Mr. Power's granddaughter, who lives in upstate New York, and she gave an affidavit at that time saying that it was built as a two-family. She stayed there as a child, spent her childhood there. Mike Carnazza, right before the meeting, handed us information, and the information was based on a building inspector from 1995 saying, yes, we agree it was a predated use, but it wasn't a two-family, it was a single-family. And that came as a great surprise to all of us, and hence the request for an adjournment. After the meeting, I reached out to the granddaughter, and she said, no, he's wrong. It was always a two-family. And she said, but I'm going to call my mother and ask her. Now, her mother was in her upper 80s, and I spoke to her mother, and surprise, what the building inspector said back in 95 or 96 was accurate, that it was built initially as a single family, and then in either 1961 or 60, a second floor was added to accommodate the grandchildren and the children of Mr. Powers. I think my partner, Frank Smith, mentioned to you that the intention of Mr. Powers was to have his grandkids there and his children there, but he wanted separate quarters and he wanted to live alone. He wanted his kids and his grandkids to come, but he wanted the privacy.
Smart guy.
Smart guy. So that's where we are today. We therefore are requiring a use variance. You read our requested application. It was an interpretation or in the alternative, a use variance, and that's what we're seeking today, to permit a two-family in a single-family zone. I hasten to remind the board that it is a residential use in a residential zone. So it's not a true use variance in my interpretation, but it is use variance standards. We missed pre-existing non-conforming by 5 or 6 years. If it was built in 55 or before, as a two-family, we would simply look for your interpretation that it was a pre-existing non-conforming. But the daughter of Mr. Powers said it was in the early 60s, and she opined that it was 1960, that it was, or 61. And so here we are for a use variance. I think it's significant that the structure was built in 1960 or 61 as a two-family and never, ever changed status. That from that time on, it's been used as a two-family. So our requested relief is that of a use variance, as I just explained. We submitted a lot of things to you in support of the interpretation, and all of them, in my opinion, are still relevant to this application. For example, we submitted assessment cards showing continual use all the way since 1960, all the way to the present. We submitted 4 neighbors' accounts supporting the application and saying there are neighbors continuously through there. They knew all the tenants in there over the years, and I said one goes back all the way to 61 rather. We submitted the granddaughter's affidavit, and she said, though she lives upstate now, she kept contact. And she said, I know because I keep friends within the neighborhood that it's always been used from as long as she remembers to current as a two-family. We submitted photographs, and I hope you looked at them because the photographs look to be anything other than a single-family house. And again, we submitted assessment cards and tax bills, all showing that the property is assessed and it's being taxed as a two-family house. In our prior submission, we had Joel Greenberg submit a rendering or a report that's saying there was never an indoor staircase. It just doesn't fit that there would be an indoor staircase. The staircases are outdoors. We submitted all these things in support of the interpretation, but I believe they're equally relevant to our application for a use variance today. But we did submit more. We submitted another affidavit signed by Mr. Medea that said he bought this for one reason and one reason only, and that was for a two-family. We submitted an affidavit of a realtor who said this thing is not marketable as a single-family house. We submitted an affidavit from a licensed contractor who said that given the age of the structure and given code compliance and all those things, in his mind, it would be $80,000 to conform and make this a single-family house. Well, we submitted, again, another affidavit by the granddaughter attesting to the continuous use. We submitted a list of multifamilies in the immediate area. I believe there were 7 of them, so no neighborhood change is going to come by allowing this to continue as it has since 1960 as a multifamily. And then we submitted a P&L showing $16,000 a year loss. And I want you to please be cognizant of the fact that on this 80-year-old house, there are capital repairs on a regular basis that are not included in that P&L statement. So with all those things, we hope that we're reaching the use variance standards in your mind. The facts are, and the benchmark date again is 1947, when the structure was built, and we know that's correct because of the assessment card and because of the family members all attesting to it. And we know now that it was converted to a two-family in either 60 or 61, and that was the daughter's, Mr. Powers' daughter, not granddaughter, who said, no, it came on in 1960. And we told you the reason why it was, and that it was meant to be separate, to have grandchildren come but go home at the end of the day. We confirmed through Mr. Greenberg's account that there was no access, and it was always, in that regard, used as a two-family. So from 1960 to present, it has been used as a two-family, and again, that's borne out by the assessment cards and by the neighbors and by the granddaughter. My client purchased in '96, and there was a flurry of activity in 95 and 96 where the then building inspector said, yeah, it's pre-existing non-conforming, but it was built as a single-family, not as a two-family. And there was letters passed between the seller's attorney and the building inspector and the bank saying, this is a one-family, and there was said to be compliance being made. My client, by sworn affidavit, never, ever remembers that and never believes that he was told that. His affidavit said he would never have bought this if it were a single family. It's not something that he was aware of.
Bill, if I may, Mike, has your office inspected the house to see if there was ever an internal staircase or something that was covered in?
There is no internal staircase now.
But was there evidence where one could have been? I mean, it would have been a closet
Anywhere.
now. Or,
You hate to say it, but yeah, it could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Could be in a closet, could be underneath the old stairs, but Joel said there was never one. I actually did the inspection in '96, I believe, right, Bill?
Yeah.
I did the inspection in '96, and I wrote down that it was returned to a one-family. So at that time, whoever Powers, I guess you purchased from, must have taken the second kitchen out. I leave, maybe they put it back, I don't know. I don't know how it works exactly, but.
okay.
One of the things that are in his my client's affidavit is, he bought it as an investment for sure, but he also bought it for a family member, his brother, who was involved in a miserable divorce and needed accommodations for the kids. He would never have bought this house had he been made apprised of the things that Mike and the former building inspector and the seller's attorney. And when he moved in, or when he bought it, it was immediately restored or continued as a two-family. During the time period, he rented to his brother, and then many, many tenants, the neighbors talked about all the tenants that my client rented to. He rented it to his son, who tragically died 3 or 4 months ago. He was a tenant in the premises. So we're here now because my client needs to sell. The house is 80 years old. It's in desperate need of repairs. Its structural integrity is failing. And my client has been a recent victim of a stroke and simply cannot maintain the property anymore. I think it's noteworthy that the structure in 60 is exactly the same as it is now. Nothing has changed. There'll be no change in the neighborhood. The $16,000 loss, again, is something that my client put together and doesn't include capital repairs. So as we move forward and seek use variance, there are a couple of things that I'd just like to impress upon you. One, the structure was never used as a single family since 1960. And two, via my clients or Powers family members, Joel Greenberg, architect, and all the neighbors, never an internal staircase, never. And that all bolsters the fact it was always used as a two-family. With regard to the 4 requirements of a use variance, the first is reasonable return and unnecessary hardship. And if you read the broker's statement, even if it is returned to a single family, it's not marketable as a single family. I hope you take a good look at the photos and agree with me and agree with the broker that that is not saleable as a single family. $80,000 to convert to a single family, for what? What reason would that accomplish? It's not going to comply with the neighborhood, and it's not going to be marketable as a single-family house if you deny this application and make him conform. Again, I think the P&L statement, I know that's of interest to you, was done accurately and done by my client. There are entries there, none of which include capital repairs. And so I think there is a very strong argument that there's no reasonable return on this if you deny the application. I can't imagine a stronger set of circumstances for change in the neighborhood, which is, as you know, the most important criteria. This thing hasn't changed since 1960. It's exactly the way it was since 1960. Immediate neighbors come by and support this application. No one can argue that the neighborhood is threatened. There's a list of multifamilies in your materials, all of which subscribe or bolster the fact that this multifamily in existence for almost 60 years is going to change the neighborhood. So I believe that if you agree to the fact that neighborhood is the most important criteria, you have to look at this application positively, because there will be no change and no structural or cosmetic changes are proposed in this application. I won't get into a whole lot of time with uniqueness, but you've got a unit that's been in existence for 60 years as a two-family. The mistake made, or the mistake made by us thinking it was a multifamily predated, makes the application unique. No indoor staircase providing access inside. I think that makes it unique. The self-created part, I think if you agree and believe my client's sworn testimony that he did not know and that he would not have bought had he known that there was an obligation to convert it to a single family, he would have never bought it. And in fact, his actions immediately after using it as a two-family speak volumes to the fact he believed that it was. And I know it's not terribly germane, but he's being taxed on a two-family and has been for almost 60 years. There are assessment cards back in the 90s that show it being assessed as a two-family. So I'm here for a use variance, and that doesn't make me terribly happy. But there is authority in the town code and in your code for use variances where the 4 criteria are met. And I respectfully submit to you all that we've met them in this application. Thank you.
Bill, were there any neighbors that could have given, support to this? I didn't see anything in your packet.
In the first submission, John, there were 4 neighbors, all of whom said that they knew the neighbors in the multifamily and they supported the application. One was named Azizi, one was named Azadian, Taub, T-A-U-B,
Yeah, I saw Tal was one, right. It was,
Azadian.
Was that
What's
emailed?
that?
Maybe that's
no, it was in the original.
Sarli.
This goes back.
maybe I lost it.
Yeah, you probably didn't see it because it was in support of the use variance.
I believe you. The other question is, you said it's up and down, but there's 2 separate stairwells from
One is just
either
a
side.
deck.
One is only up.
Oh,
You're
no,
not-
you
you're
can
not-
talk.
You're not allowed.
She could talk.
I'll swear
Or
if you want me to.
Or if you want to go under oath.
Do you want to
can
go
too.
Oh, one is just the deck stairs to that deck. Oh, I'm short.
Let me hold
Where's the INL?
The one is just a deck stairs, an outdoor deck stairs, the one all the way to the right, yeah.
with the red
And then the bottom one there, the bottom left, that's the
That's the same
main,
as that one.
the bottom one there is the main upstairs. That's the only way to access the upstairs. And then there's a door to the left of that big stairs, that's the only way to access downstairs. So, but there is a
I see
porch
it.
stairs, there is a porch there.
Thanks for clarifying.
Here's the letters.
I must have lost that bit. Okay, I'm going to open it up to the board for further questions and comments. John?
Yes, Bill, that's a deck, as you just mentioned. What's behind that? It looks like it's covered. Is there a room back there?
There's the deck there, open deck, and behind it is a room. There is,
Just a room?
yeah, it's just like a storage room, behind there, one big room behind there.
And is that connected
It's
to the
storage
upper part
room.
of the upstairs?
It's all part of the upstairs, yeah. That goes, you could go from
Oh, I
that.
see. You
Yeah,
could
it's
come out
all,
that way.
yeah. You could come out 2 ways from upstairs. You can come out to the deck and down, or out that main stairs.
Or come down the stairs?
Right, right.
And is there 2 families living in there now?
There's one family, we had 2 families, we had, at sometimes we had 2 families, but recently, my disabled son was living downstairs, and we have a rented upstairs. There's a renter still upstairs, and my son passed away. So, there's no one downstairs right now.
No further questions, thank you.
Okay.
What month did you purchase the house?
The month,
Yeah, give or take. It was spring, summer? Because I'm looking at this letter from August 13th from the attorney.
1996.
Yeah, 1996.
in
It talks about it in 1996, this letter in August. I'm assuming you bought after that time? Or after
That
August?
letter, I think, was to their attorney?
So this was going on, so they never told you about it?
No, that's the problem. See, it was advertised as a 2-family,
Right.
and a Realtor took us in there to show us as a 2-family. And we drew up a contract where I see that they wrote in there that the guy had to give a 2-family, what was it called? A 2-family note or something? And then when we went to close, it just was, we bought it as a
The contract, it was part of your submission. The attorney, not in boilerplate, but hand wrote out, seller represents that this is a 2-family, which means, it was focal to the attorney that it be a 2-family, and then my client, there's a great abyss after that, where somehow the correspondence between the seller and building department resulted in them telling the seller's attorney, it was a single family, but my clients were never made aware of that, and wouldn't have bought with that. The contract stated my client's intention, saying it is a two-family.
I don't know anything about this, so I have to question, doesn't the title search show this kind of thing?
Yeah, it's called a municipal search.
Right. The municipal search showed that it was a one-family, so wouldn't you have thought your client's attorney would have seen that
Yeah,
on a title?
I would have thought that, yeah.
But your client's attorney didn't see it?
Didn't, if he saw it, he didn't express it to my clients. And I want this to be understood. This was the reason he bought this house, for two-family. So, and it was in the contract, handwritten, it's a two-family. I can't understand how the attorney didn't relay this to my clients, but I believe them when they say they adamantly would not have bought if they thought it was a single family. They moved it immediately to a two-family. And the assessment roll never changed.
And the title says one family or two family?
The title said that the title initially said it's a single family, and then there was a note that said that the seller has brought it into conformance.
So he might have changed it, had Cosmo or Mike come in, look at it,
And
and
brought it.
then put this,
That's
Then
the
change
only,
it.
that's, I don't want to make accusations to you.
No.
Only thing that makes sense to me.
Okay.
The only thing that makes sense to me.
okay, thanks.
I have no questions, thank you.
And again, just to follow that up, and reading the certificate of occupancy, that handwritten part of it, yeah, that's anomalous, but I understand it. No, I have no questions, it's just the time, yeah. What are you gonna do? Julie?
No questions.
I have one question too about the assessment of an $80,000 renovation to convert this to a single-family house again. How did he arrive at that number? I mean, did he just throw that number out there? I mean, there's got to be some kind of
He told
basis
me-
of his calculation.
Yeah, he told me, and
He inspected.
he went and inspected. He said the staircase is in a part of the house that makes it very difficult because of the air ducts. He said the air conditioning routing would all have to be changed. He said the structural integrity of the house was very, very questionable. The structural support of the roof was in question. Removal of the kitchen would have involved some more. And he said compliance with today's code for electric and all those other things make it a very high-priced job.
Okay.
So he was proposing, just for clarification, he was proposing changes, not lopping the top floor off, just changes to the existing structure to
Putting
connect
the
both of them.
internal structure and then doing everything that the building department and New York State would require.
Right, because now you've opened Pandora's box.
Yes, yeah.
Right, okay.
All right, at this point, is there any input from the public on this application? I don't think so.
No, doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll look for a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I must have not gotten that package. I don't even remember seeing it. I know. I would have kept it together.
Whenever I have a holdover, I just stick it back in here.
Exactly, that's what I do. All right, second application is for Andrew Laporte for a variation of section 156-39.5, seeking a variance for permission to raise meat birds. This is a new one. For 25 to 50 birds at a time. The property is located at 944-946 Peekskill Hollow Road in Carmel, New York, and it's tax map 53.1-1-14. So the code allows or requires maximum of 18 chickens, and what is being asked for is 50 chickens. So a variance of 32 chickens would be requested, and the code also allows or requires a nesting place for eggs. What's being provided is no eggs, and chickens are not egg chickens. I presume they're for meat. So, good evening.
Good evening.
State your name and address for the record.
Andrew Laporte, 944, 946 Peekskill Hollow Road, Putnam Valley, New York, 10579.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And I'll just remind you to speak into the microphone. It's being
Sure.
recorded for the minutes, so
Okay.
we need to be as clear as possible. Bring us through your situation here.
Well, I raise chickens for food. I eat them, basically. Your rules for the town on chickens are geared towards egg-laying chickens, basically chickens that you're going to keep around for a long time, such as one of the things that you should know, have no roosters. My chickens are 2-day-old chickens to about 7-8 weeks. If they last 10 weeks, they die naturally. So they're a particular breed. It's called a Cornish cross. They're basically, they dress out after they're cleaned and everything at about 6 to 7 pounds each. So they take about 8 weeks to grow. I usually do them in batches of 25, and I overlay them about a week to 2 weeks, because for the first week or two, they're actually in like a tub with heat lamps on them, because they don't have feathers really at that point.
So, how big is your property?
11 acres.
So, and where would this building or? what-
There's no building. So initially, for the first, like I said, week or two, they're in like a big trough type thing with heat lamps on them until they can get some feathers and be outside, because they literally don't have enough warmth to keep
Where is
themselves
this, in
alive.
your house?
Huh? No, it would be in a garage or a shed.
Okay.
Okay, it smells, you wouldn't want it in a house, it's not a good thing, But after about 2 weeks, when they have enough feathers to support themselves outside, or the weather's warm enough to support them outside, they're moved into what's known as a chicken tractor. A chicken tractor that I have is about 10 by 12. It's made out of PVC, I believe there's diagrams in there.
We
yeah,
got a
photo
with
of
like,
that.
you know,
there's
wire
picture.
around it, mostly to keep them in and to keep predators out. And it moves every day, so they're on new, fresh grass every day. And as I said, they only last about 8 weeks until I process them. And the reason for the 50 count is I usually overlap at about 2 weeks, so I can have a next batch in, because my wife says I'm not allowed to keep anything too long because she wants to go on vacation.
Makes sense. Okay, have you talked to your neighbors about this?
Yes, I've spoken to a few neighbors. Neighbor to my left would be my uncle, he knows about it. Neighbor to my right is Steve Zazinski or something like that, he knows about it. Neighbors across the street, I really don't talk to too much, so.
And this is not for business, right? You're
No,
not
this is for
selling-
personal
use.
consumption.
Okay.
50 birds, about a bird a week,
You can only have chicken so many ways. You know
Huh?
that. You can only have chicken so
Oh,
many
no,
ways.
you can have chicken wings, there's a lot of ways to have chicken.
Bubble gum.
Plus, chicken's getting really expensive.
All right, I guess we probably should bring this to the board, the town board, to allow, this is a new one on us, right? To provide, but,
I don't have the section in my book. Can you just, is it long? That section, 50, I'm sorry.
Oh, 'cause you have an older book.
15639.5.
Go on, you know, the phone? I'm reading about the chickens, that's what I'm
I'm asking
reading.
Mike to do it.
Come on,
Seriously.
Mike, ask the mic.
He's done, God, 39.5.
Yes.
What I'm looking for, Mike, is to see if it really, if it talks about what type of chickens.
It doesn't.
It
It
does.
doesn't. You guys, the
No,
rules
sure.
that you guys have really are geared towards egg-laying chickens.
Right.
Because you talk about roosting boxes and stuff like that, and no roosters like that. When you get a chicken that's like 2 days old, you can't tell if it's a male or a female. But I can tell you that my chickens die long before they can ever crow, so the noise is not a problem, if that's a concern or something like that. And like I said, they move daily.
Where on this 11 acres is this located? Speaking of
It would
that.
probably be my front lawn.
And where's that? How far is it from your property?
Do you guys have a copy of the survey?
I have that here.
So there's probably 2 or 3 acres of front lawn.
Our code only requires 15 feet from the property line.
You have a long driveway out to Peekskill Hollow Road. So it would be by your solar kiln shed
It would be between the
Between
solar
there
kiln shed and the houses.
and the house?
Yes.
And it's all
Actually,
grass.
the brook divides the towns. On the other side of the brook is actually Putnam Valley.
So it'll be seen from the street, because I was
It
at
could
your
be.
property. I
It
was
could
at your
be, but
property
I
and
mean,
it
it's
could
no
be
bigger
seen.
than a shed, 10 by 12.
How do you keep them warm in this?
That's why I'm saying they have feathers. They keep themselves warm.
In the winter?
No, oh, I'm sorry. I only do this in the summer, and I'm only doing this for about +6, 14 weeks.
14 weeks.
Oh, yeah, no, I would definitely not
So
do this
two
in the
ba-
winter. Huh?
Two batches then?
Yeah, basically a batch of 25, and then 2 weeks before I'm about ready to process those ones, I would get another batch of 25.
Okay.
Because they can't both occupy the same space. There's a qualification of how much space you should have per chicken, even though it's kind of like an open area, they're not roosting in there or anything.
Yeah, because you have this on the property already.
Yes, I
right?
already
Because
have
it was
that on my
very
property.
It
Yeah.
was small, it didn't look like it would fit 50 chickens.
No,
It's kind of-
25. And quite honestly, when they're small, they're like this orange, looks like a tennis ball, and by the time they're ready to eat, they look ugly.
What's a solar kiln shed?
Solar kiln is basically, I have a sawmill on the property, I basically slab wood, and then I dry it naturally through the sun.
Okay. So what are you, a woodworker by trade?
No, so one side of it is like plexiglass or whatever, and basically light goes through there, and just through the natural ability of light and the fact that it's well insulated.
I'm saying, what do you do with the wood? Are you a
Oh, I
woodworker?
make furniture,
Oh, you do?
yeah, it's a hobby.
Nice. And part of your property then is in Putnam Valley then?
Correct, on the other side of the stream.
Okay.
What does Putnam Valley have to say about this?
I don't know, it's not being done in Putnam Valley, so I didn't
I
ask
just
them.
want to know if you tried.
Quite honestly, I mean,
That's a small tract of land.
I didn't even know that there were any regulations regarding chickens, but I had a thing about a shed that I got that I needed to get a permit for. And when I got that, I found out that you guys had regulations on chickens. So I was like, okay.
And I believe there's a notification. We ask if it's within 500 feet of a town boundary, and the answer was yes, obviously.
Okay.
So you have no roosters?
They could be roosters, but you're not, I mean, they're so young, you can't sex them really at that age. In fact, I would prefer roosters, because roosters actually put on more meat than hens.
But they don't?
They're good eating.
They don't
they
make noise.
They don't make noise
No.
at this young, at 8
No.
weeks?
Not at
Okay.
all. Chickens don't lay eggs until they're 6 months old, and then chickens only lay eggs for 18 months. At which point, because like your rules are real, I mean, there's no way a family could like ever support themselves with your rules on eggs. Because I don't know who wrote the rules on the eggs, but they didn't know much about chickens.
Wasn't us.
No, definitely wasn't us.
So
We
when,
don't even know what came first.
I mean, I can,
Thank you, I'm here all night.
I mean, it seems like it was written for a nuisance complaint. And, I'm not looking to have a nuisance, I'm not looking to have noises or anything that annoys my neighbors
Are
or
the
anything like
chickens going to
that.
stay in this structure all the time until,
Yes,
so
Until they're not.
after the heating lamp, they go right into this thing and they
Yes.
just stay there?
correct.
so 50 will be in there?
No,
when they're doubling up?
25 and
25 at a
25.
time. When I get the second batch of 25, they're young, okay? They're
Oh, so
only a
they're
day or
still
two.
in the
Yeah,
heating.
so they need to like grow some feathers first. And the only reason I have them overlap is so that I can shrink the amount of
Don't worry
time
about that.
that I actually have to work with the birds. Basically, I feed them in the morning. They have 12 hours of food on, 12 hours off, and you water them, or you give them water.
All right, where do you Dahmer these bad boys?
Where do I what?
Where do you Dahmer these bad boys? Where do you butcher them?
On property.
Yeah, but where? In your house or in this shed
Oh,
location?
no, I wouldn't do that in the house. There's a whole process for that.
That's what I'm asking. What do you do with the leftovers and,
Oh, the
The
waste
bones,
waste
waste,
products you're talking
yeah.
about, garbage.
yes,
Or it could go into the garden if you want. I haven't had a chance to put up a garden at this place yet, though.
okay.
You can compost it and stuff like
I
that.
don't think we'd want to speak to that, but, yeah, garbage for sure.
Okay.
All right, so the statute says a coop, a cage or a pen designed to contain or house chickens, and shall contain all of the following: a nesting place, which we talked about, elevated rooster perch area, will that
don't
be in there?
perch.
They won't be in there, but it's a ventilation, obviously you have. Insulation to prevent drafts and dampness, you're saying you don't need that because it's only gonna be a summer thing. But you still got dampness, I guess you gotta worry about. Accessibility to eggs and ability to clean out properly. So you're saying they're not gonna be egg laying, but you still have to.
You really
be
don't,
able
they
to-
fertilize the lawn, basically, is what you're
he
doing, which is
moves-
Yeah,
why
no,
you're,
He moves the whole.
I get it, it rolls, I
Yeah.
know, but I'm just trying to see if this thing, I guess it's a cage.
yeah, it's basically just, it serves two purposes. It keeps them in a confined area, but it also keeps out raccoons, possums, foxes,
Birds.
anything that would want to eat my chickens, other than me.
The combined square footage of the coop shall allow at least 4 square feet for each chicken.
And once again, that's for a normal chicken that's staying in there
Yeah,
that's
but-
laying eggs.
That's what the law says, I'm looking at the law.
4 square feet per chicken?
4 square feet
What's the
per
dimensions
chicken.
of this structure here?
10 by 12. I don't have 4 square
That's not
feet,
4
and
square
that's
feet.
not the, I do not believe that that's like the average for raising chickens for food.
And I'm just,
Okay.
just telling you what we have
Talking out
to
loud.
So you need
look at
another
here.
variance.
There's a lot of variances he's looking at.
I thought this was all one thing.
No, you need other variances.
Coops and runs may not be located in any front yard, so you need that one. All coops shall be screened from view at ground level from adjacent lots. You don't go into the feed, I'm guessing you're keeping it.
Yeah, but would this be defined as a chicken coop? It's,
Yeah,
right, it's,
it is,
Chickens.
by definition, a cage, it says. Coop is a cage.
I give the
So
lawyer.
it looks like you need a lot more than just what you're asking for.
Nobody's told me that.
I
sorry.
understand, man. I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news.
You
4
can't have
square
just,
feet per chicken.
you can't have one variance that covers all this?
No.
No,
So
but
you-
you're asking for,
He has enough.
just on the chickens alone and then the nesting place. You're
So if
not
I
a-
was
You
to-
want to put it in your front yard, that's a variance.
Okay.
Uh,
So let me ask you a question. If I change this from chickens to turkeys, does it make a difference?
Oh,
Because
now,
it's no longer chickens?
let's talk apples and oranges before we.
Well,
chickens
that's
and
what I'm
turkeys.
trying to get at here, is you
Well-
guys are comparing what I'm doing to egg-laying chickens,
Then it's-
and these are meat birds.
All right, look,
Then
at the
it's a use
section that you're
variance.
asking for is coops and attached runs for chickens, not turkeys, not anything else, for chickens.
Well, I was asking if there's any town rules against turkeys.
Not
Yeah.
allowed. You need a farm,
Yeah,
You need
that's a
farm?
farm.
5 acres, yeah.
I have 11 acres, but
You'd have to go to site plan approval through the planning board and make it into a farm.
And that would be use variance,
Is it worth the meat?
because it's
Not
not, it's
if it
zoned
makes it a
residential.
farm.
Is it
Not
worth
if
to
it
go
makes it
through
a
all that
farm.
trouble for the
That would
meat?
be a poultry at that time.
Gotcha.
I think that, being able to raise your own food should be allowed. I don't think I
I
should be
totally agree
restricted
with
from
you,
raising
but
my
we
own
have certain
food.
laws we have to follow, we just can't
I
let
understand
everybody
that,
do
but,
it, you know? But I'm
but-
not saying we're gonna say no, but I do think you have to come back with a more, you gotta look at the statute and you gotta put down what you're really looking for. Right now, you wanna put it in your front yard, which is a no-no according to the law. You have to show a nesting area, or I mean, a perched area, you have to ask for that.
There is no perch area with meat birds.
I'm not saying there isn't, but you have to
Okay.
ask for the variance on it. So you're asking for a variance only for the nesting place, but there's other things you need variances on.
So you're saying that each individual item requires a variance?
Yeah, but it's all one application. Am I wrong?
They're still, they're looking. Gentlemen?
It looks like it's
Mike, am I wrong
120
about
square
that?
feet to me.
No. Every little thing.
What's that?
Right. Right.
No, he's got 2 of them. Each one is 120 or 240. Understand? He can put 30.
Front yard, perched areas.
25 and 25, right?
All right, so Mike's taking a note.
So he has it for that.
It doesn't include the relief that the applicant's going to need
Right.
to do what he wants to do.
Because the neighbors might not like the idea of having it in the front yard either.
Forms of relief.
Right.
What's happening here is you've noticed less than would ultimately, would theoretically be granted. So
Right.
he's going to have to renotice it. If every section that is needed a variance. I'm not saying it's not a reasonable request, it's still have to get the proper.
You have to give the proper notice to the neighbors. That's it. Does
Why
it
don't
make
you
more
s-
sense for him to go down the farm?
Mike, can he meet with you after the meeting tonight and just,
Meet with me tomorrow.
okay.
Okay.
how to reapply this. You have to give notice for all the proper variations that you're looking for.
That way the
Okay.
neighbors understand what's going on.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not trying to hide anything.
No, no, no,
I'm just
no, no,
trying to
no, no.
understand the process.
No, we're trying to help you.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So, we're gonna hold this over, obviously, until next month. We're gonna have to hold this over until next month, so you can get it advertised and, put out there, and make sure you're covering in your application everything that's gonna be needed.
Okay, so just so that because we're saying one application can cover all of
Yeah.
these?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Because I was thinking that you might want a different variance for each one of these, and that was where I
Go see
was.
Mike tomorrow, we'll call him, and then.
We'll amend the application you already made,
Okay,
and then we'll renotice it, and everything will take care of it.
Yeah.
okay.
All right,
And
so-
you want me to have neighbors come in? Because I can bring neighbors with me if
That's up
that's.
to you.
That's your application. If you decide you
Well,
want.
I'm just saying, does that make a difference?
If it helps your case?
Yeah.
I had a neighbor offer to come, and I was like,
doesn't
I don't
hurt.
think you need to come, this is like simple.
If it's for
Has to
you,
go to so
it
many
never hurts.
neighbors.
So you thought.
It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
Okay.
All right, so I'll look for a motion to adjourn, or not?
Hold over.
Hold over.
To hold
this
over.
Motion to hold over.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, application number 3 for Frank and Janet Massey for a variation of section 156-15, seeking an area variance for permission to keep a shed. Property is located at 18 Shearbrook Road, Mahopac, New York, tax map 74.20-1-59. The code requires and allows 10 feet side, will be provided or would exist is 5'11", so a variance required of 4 foot 1 inch. Good evening. State your name and address for the record, please.
Frank Massey, 18 Shearbrook Road, Mahopac, 10541.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes,
Okay, so you have a shed that looks like it's been there quite a while. How long?
12 years.
And you didn't know you needed a variance?
No.
Or a permit? All right, is this on, I don't remember what it looked like, is it on a foundation?
No,
That's not a foundation, that's what, just 4x4
yeah,
pressure-treated ties?
yes,
You talked to your neighbors about this?
yeah, they're fine with it.
Yeah?
Didn't know about it.
The one to the left, all right, you screened off with a good fence. Is there any property you could purchase to bring this into conformance?
No,
You're landlocked, right?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the neighbor would have to sell me part of his property, he doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think so, right? So if you had to move this thing, what would it cost you?
I don't know, I have no idea. $1,000 maybe?
$1,000,
$500 to $1,000.
So it'd be a burden and expense. What's in the shed?
A tractor, snow blower,
Lawn equipment, right?
lawn equipment, yeah, just stuff like that.
All right, any questions from the board? Julie?
No questions.
No questions?
No questions, thank you.
Why is it coming up now?
They saw it from the Google Earth or something.
Oh, okay.
Violation from Dennis.
Violation.
You were served.
No questions, sir.
All right, do we have any input from the public on this application? I don't think so.
No. Motion closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
That's it?
That's it? Yeah, wait till later. You can stick
Oh, you
around.
can stick around. I don't,
Yeah, I'll call tomorrow.
It's also on TV.
All right.
it's on TV if you get home in time.
All right, application number 4, Jerry Delbeni, for an interpretation that passing food, drink through an exterior window is still a fully enclosed eating and drinking establishment. The property is located at 250 US Route 6, Mahopac, New York, tax map 87.7-1-8.250. Good evening, Mr. Greenberg. State your name and address for the record, please.
Joel Greenberg, 2 Musket Road, North Mahopac, New York.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth,
I do.
as you always do.
You do.
Okay, many of you probably know the area here. This is where there's a gas station over here, and there's a 2-story building here which contains, I believe, a salon and simulated golfing, both upstairs and downstairs. And right in the middle here, there's a section where there's snacks and stuff like that. And the purpose of our asking for an interpretation is that right now, what we'd like to do is take the window out that's in the front of the eating establishment and have it like you do at McDonald's or anything, and so that you can walk up and get your ice cream and move on. So basically, we're saying that since you can do this at McDonald's and all the other places, we'd just like to be able to do it here. That's it.
Will there be any wait staff on roller skates?
Happy days.
So, yeah, basically, it's just a window that people can order and purchase through, or they call in orders and pay ahead of time?
No,
It's
no,
just a
they
transaction?
would park, go up to the window, get their ice cream and leave.
Okay,
Take a Carmel,
that's, yeah, that's a new one.
walk up.
We
And
don't-
our
we
code
don't
only
always
allows
have-
fully enclosed eating and drinking establishments.
Right, well, if you need.
This would not be enclosed,
You would
that's
need an
why it's-
exterior, for exterior dining, right, to be part of it, which I know was expanded the last 10 years or so. Okay, so there's no eating facilities outside? Is this
No. Oh, no,
sold
absolutely.
For pickup?
Pickup only, correct.
All right, I've been on the board for over 20 years, this is a new one on me also.
Yeah, I
Got
was a
lot
little
of new ones
surprised that this
tonight.
is here.
Would they be permitted to sit down behind this structure? Like, there's a little parking lot back there,
That's what it is, a parking lot.
but there's not a little area that has a,
Actually, if you take a look over
Benches.
here, no, the area back here, this is all the parking over here, and at the end here, over here, there's also some parking, and then there's just blank space here. There's no space here to safely put tables. I mean, you'd have to actually enclose it.
is there a dumpster located there?
Yes, there's a dumpster over here, which we have to discuss with the building inspector, the possibility of moving it, but right now, the dumpster's over here.
Joel, what kind of traffic is this gonna cause in that front parking lot? That's, I got a concern there, you're, close proximity to Route 6, and if cars are backing up, it's gonna back up onto a main.
Well, the good thing about, if you've been across here, this is all parallel parking, so you're not being in a situation where cars are backing out and making a turn to go out, because it's all one-way traffic. So basically, what's happening, you're in your parking spot, you just back up, and then just pull out. So it's actually less dangerous than if you had, let's say, perpendicular parking or angled parking like they do on Route 6N. So I think it's a safer situation as far as the vehicles are concerned.
How big's the sidewalk?
Pardon?
What size sidewalk?
The sidewalk, I believe it's between 4 and 5 feet.
Mike, what section are we talking about here?
Schedule of district regulations says fully enclosed eating and drinking establishments.
And where is that?
This is,
15615, it's an attachment. It's about this big in your book.
it's the Y page, Phil.
Okay.
So what's the benefit, that's, as opposed to just walking into the store? I mean,
It's just an accommodation for the customers.
So Mike, why
they
could
could just walk into the store and make their transaction as well. I just,
He just wants to give the people the opportunity to do it either way. It's,
Like if you're pumping gas, you go get an ice cream cone
yeah,
and walk back.
exactly.
well, what kind, it's a different kind of food. Is it food that's cooked to order?
Oh,
or
I
is
thought it was just, did you say it was just ice cream?
Yes, it's not, it's not food.
It's just ice cream.
It's just ice cream, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's ice cream.
So
Sit
really,
down and dinner.
I mean, how many people are going to sit down to have ice cream? You get your ice cream, get in your car and leave.
You think about the place down in Somers, right? They have a park there. You get your ice cream and you park and you go linger and hang out there, right?
Talk about King
That's-
Cone?
That's kind of what I'm worried about this. It's so congested on Route 6.
What, King Cone, like that big
Yeah,
place?
King Cone, that's the name of the place.
That's what you're
I mean,
saying.
that's made for that kind of
Yeah.
situation. You go and you have your ice cream, you go sit on the park bench and there's room and there's plenty of
Well,
parking there.
that's a whole different operation, obviously.
I-
And obviously, their code permits
That's my
something like
point, though.
that.
I'm worried that this is gonna be too congested, You're right on Route 6. If this was back off on 6N, somewhere different where there's more property, I don't know, I'm just expressing my opinion, but I
mean, I don't think it's going to be, as you were concerned about the danger. I mean, obviously, it's not on Route 6. You've got the sidewalk, you've got the parallel parking, you've got the driving aisle, so you're probably back, over probably at least 35, 40 feet from the property line. And of course, you have the right-of-way of Route 6, and there's some landscaping along here. So it's not that you're on routes, it's not that you're actually walking parallel to the road itself, because you've got the parking, you've got the travelway, and then you've got the landscaping. So it's not really.
You know, I think even just quality, which used to be our Carvel here, if he had an open window, you'd have children who like ice cream backed up on a sidewalk where there's cars, and it just lends itself to an accident waiting to happen, in my opinion.
You know, we're looking to interpret this, and I just don't see how it's fully enclosed if you open the window. I don't see it as that. You're actually extending out to outside. I can't see how you would want, and please try to explain to me, bless you, how it could be considered fully enclosed.
Take a look at McDonald's. You can drive up and get food from a window.
Yeah, that's, you're in your car.
So
It's
is
handing
that,
it to a car.
what's that?
You're in your car, and you're being handed and making a transaction, and you're taking off.
But I don't
And you're
think the
backed
co-
up car by
does
car.
the code actually-
This is fake, this is people out to a window, backing up.
There's
Middle
traffic,
summer,
they
it's
look
90
at
degrees.
traffic for
You
that,
got a
they
line
look at
around the
all that.
corner with kids and children, and I just,
Even without all that, I just don't see
it's
it
an accident
as
waiting to happen.
passing food and drink through an exterior window is still fully enclosed.
This is true.
Fully is the word. If it was partially enclosed, I'd say you got it, but it doesn't, it says fully.
well, is McDonald's fully enclosed?
But, Joe,
That's a
when
driveway.
McDonald's comes up, they go through everything, environmental, traffic, everything, and they work it out. This is, hey, we want a window, there's nothing else but that. And you're asking us to interpret it. I mean, I'm sure there's other ways you could go around it, but it's not, I don't see it coming, me personally, I can't interpret it as being that way.
All right, since my client is not here, can we hold it over so he can have a chance to speak to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
The,
Any other
This-
comments?
the scale is a quarter inch is 1 foot.
No.
That's not it?
This is not quarters. This is an engineering scale. This is probably
It's eighth scale.
even, no, it's probably an engineer scale, maybe 1 to 20 or something.
No, but I can, this is an inch, okay? Thank you.
Anyway,
So, Mike, you were saying 5 feet you need for a sidewalk for that?
No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a 3-foot sidewalk, that's all.
Yeah, it's about 3 feet, it's not a big sidewalk out there. It's very small, it's narrow.
we will measure it for the
We're
next
gonna
meeting.
measure it.
All right, any other comments or questions from the board?
No.
I'm
Not
not
at this
going to open it to
point.
the public, not that anyone's here to hear it, but I'll look for a motion.
Hold over?
Hold
Motion to
over.
hold over.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, you're here representing the last application, which is for, where am I, number 5, Regina Jedliga for a variation of section 156-15, seeking a variance because the lot depth line, which complies with length, exists and re-enters the lot. Property is located at 334 Austin Road, Mahopac, New York, tax map 64.13-1-16. And
Okay,
you'll be speaking?
he's my backup.
Let me swear you in just in case. State your name and address for the record.
Ron Jedlicka Jr., 268 Crestwood Avenue, Tuckahoe, New York.
Raise your hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
In case we need you to talk.
Okay, this is basically an 8-acre parcel of land on Austin Road. It has an unusual shape because the section coming down toward Austin Road has only 100 foot of frontage. The purpose of this is Mrs. Jedlica would like to have her daughter take over the big house, and we want to subdivide this into a 120,000 square foot lot so she can have a modular house placed on there and be close to the family. We've gone to the planning board. We obviously, they've sent us to the zoning board and also to the town board for open development because obviously the lot that's being created has no frontage on a town road and basically fronts on the existing driveway that comes from Austin Road onto the property. The reason that we're here today is each lot that's created has to have 200 foot of lot width, 200 foot of lot depth. Now, because of this leg, and that comes down to Austin Road. So in order to create the lot depth, you take half the width at the road, which in this case is 50 feet, of course, it's 100 feet. And then you take half the width at the top of the lot, and you connect the two lines. Now, as you can see here, you come down, and then it goes on to the property next door and comes back onto our property. Now, if you add all this thing up, it's well over, it's several hundred feet. Even if you subtract the area that goes through the additional lot, you still have way more than 200 feet. In actuality, you have, hold on, 645 feet, not including the portion that goes on to the adjacent lot. So basically, we need a variance for lot depth that goes on our property, off our property, and back on our property. The most important part is, of course, is the fact when you add up the two portions that are on our property, you have way in excess of the 200 feet. So any questions, I'll answer them.
So, Mike, if it enters another property, can that still be calculated as part of it?
He doesn't use the part that's on the other property. He said even without that, correct?
Right. In other words, just to repeat again, this portion that's on the adjacent property is X amount of feet. But when you add on the portion that's over here by Austin Road and the portion that's over here, required is 200, we have over 600. So we're like three times the requirement.
Okay, but you don't have the frontage at all, that's zero.
But that's going to be an open development.
Well, that's why we have to go for open development, because the new lot has no frontage on a town road. But again, we've been through the planning board, Mike will can attest to that. And our council can attest to the fact that we've been to the town board.
All right, John, any questions?
I don't have any questions. I mean,
Okay. You don't have to.
yeah.
I know Rose
Yeah.
will have
Rose
some
will have a
questions.
question.
I only have one, really. So it's a shared driveway, and it's going to stay a shared driveway for the
Correct.
two properties?
That's correct. And that is, again, the planning board's reviewed it, and they have no problem with it, except we have to go through the process of the open development. We've already been to the town board, they've approved it, and we have to come before this board because of this situation. But as far as the other boards are concerned, they basically have no problem as long as we go through the process.
So there'll be an easement for?
Yes, we've already, Mrs. Jedlicka's attorney has already submitted the easement, which would give her the right to cross over here when her daughter takes over the other part of the property, and that's being reviewed by the planning board attorney.
And there's no other property that they could buy to make it conform more?
No, because the properties on either side are not owned by Mrs. Jedlicka.
I have nothing. Thank you, Jill. Nice
I have nothing. This is different.
Okay.
No,
Julie?
no questions.
All right, and there's no input from the public on this application. You guys have anything to add or ask?
No.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Do I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Joe.
All right, at this point, there's no input from the public on this case. We will go through and adjudicate. For application number 1, Raymond Medea, I look for a motion.
Motion to grant the use variance.
Any conditions?
I'll second it.
Oh, so I have a second, okay. All right, any discussion?
I think council went through the 4 requirements that all are necessary. I think the evidence is there, not self-created, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. It's a unique experience, unique circumstance in that it's been there as long as I've been on this earth. And I think there's enough financial backing to show the incapable of earning a reasonable return for this, so I say we grant.
I'll do a roll call just for
I'm for the motion.
Rose.
For the motion?
Bill, you
For the motion.
For the motion.
For,
And I'm for the motion as well. So it's granted.
2 skip.
hold over.
2 is held over. All right, number 3, for Massey, I look for a motion.
Motion to grant.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
That's granted.
Hold.
Number 4 is held over as well. We,
Want to hold it over?
To hold over?
I think we did. All right, well, I'll look for a motion to hold this over.
Oh, I don't
Just
think you
take
have
care of
to-
ourselves. Del Benny.
Del Benny,
Benny.
motion to hold over.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Application number 5 for Jedlico, I'll look for a motion.
Motion to grant?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and that's granted. All right, the minutes from September 28th, 2022, I'll look for a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So
the meeting.
moved.
Second.
All
Second,
in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Happy
you all.
Halloween, everybody.
Halloween.